Welcome back to the Reprogram Yourself Challenge. Today is day 28. We only have 2 days left of the challenge. Can you believe it? I am so excited if you've made it this far with me. If you have not yet purchased the full version of this program, make sure you utilize the coupon code that I gave you yesterday in day 27 so that way you can save $500 on this program and you can have lifetime access to it. Or you can always join my manifestation membership AOMU, and you will get access to this and all of my programs for the next year, so that way you can really transform your entire state of being. And because you do that, your entire reality will change. So over this month, I've been really giving you a lot of practices to help you understand how your unconscious mind works, so that way you can really effectively go in and reinstall new beliefs, because you're understanding how your unconscious mind works, you're learning the language of your unconscious mind, and you're learning tools that actually get right into your unconscious mind, so that way you can start manifesting on autopilot what you desire to experience. So I told you that earlier we did some hypnosis, and I just had you do the hypnosis, and I told you that later on I would be talking to you about hypnosis and how it works. So today is that day. So at this point, you have already experienced hypnosis because you have been showing up every single day, and you've experienced what it feels like to go through a hypnosis. But do you understand how hypnosis works? You hear me say all of the time that from 0 to 7, we are in a programmable state where we are taking in everything that we learn, all of the words that we hear, all the behaviors that we see, all of the energies that we feel. We are just taking these all in as truths. We do not have a fully formed prefrontal cortex at that time. So that means that we're actually walking around bouncing from an alpha to a theta state. And what that means is our brain waves are susceptible to programming at that point. When you are an adult, from the time that you wake up first thing in the morning and then right before you go to bed, you are also in these highly programmable states, in these theta brainwave states. And that's when your unconscious mind is more susceptible to programs. So you don't have to work as hard to reprogram your unconscious mind because your unconscious mind is more susceptible during that time. Most people, though, don't realize that their entire reality was programmed into them by somebody else. Either the people that raised you, your parents, society, the schooling system. It was really affected by the environment that you were in. That's where that whole nature versus nurture thing comes from, because a lot of it is nurture at that point. It's what you are picking up from other people. And where a lot of people go wrong in this whole transforming their life thing is they don't look at the fact that if they didn't install their programs, that means somebody else did. And it's very likely that the person that programmed you, while of course they were doing the best they could with the information that they had, they most likely are not living your dream life. Especially just considering if you're around my age, I'm 35 right now. So imagine how much the world has changed in the past 35 years from when my parents were programmed to let alone when I was born. And let's be honest, our parents' generation, and especially older than that, were not often doing personal development work. They did not have as much access to the information as we have because we have the internet. They were really having to go out and trade their time for money. There was a lot of struggle that was programmed into older generations. And now that the struggle really isn't required, we all have the internet, we all have cell phones, we all have laptops, we all have ways to do things a lot easier and to do them a lot faster without as much time dedication, without as much physical labor. So we've really changed the entire landscape of the world now that we're in a digital era. But have you reprogrammed your mind so that way your beliefs, your behaviors, your identity, everything that was installed in you is actually in alignment with where you desire to go and with the reality that we are now experiencing and that we're now living in? What happens is a lot of us are now going out trying to manifest their dream life, business, whatever it looks like for you, and you're really struggling to achieve that because at the end of the day, your beliefs, your behaviors, your actions, your habits, your identity, the actions that you take are all based off of what was programmed into you from 0 to 7, unless you have done the work to reprogram your mind. Because what happens is when your prefrontal cortex forms when you're around 7 years old, that's when your rational mind develops. And so all of these things that you took in from 0 to 7 have now become those scripts that you're running your life off of. So when we want to actually and effectively transform our life, we can't do it from a hard work perspective. We actually have to do it from a mental perspective where we are going in and actually installing these new behaviors, beliefs, actions, identity, whatever it is, into our unconscious minds. Now, what's ironic is there's a lot of people still that are skeptical about hypnosis, even though hypnosis is now being used in Western medicine. It's now being used to treat things. It's now being used in some type of surgery environments where they are allowed to opt in to either get anesthesia or to get hypnosis. There are some really, really cool things being done in hypnosis, but because it was something that a lot of people were so skeptical of, because think about back in the olden days, most of the times people would see hypnotism as a magician doing it and making somebody get up on stage and balk like a chicken. And so a lot of people had this negative connotation or a skeptical connotation with it, that it actually had lasting and effective properties with it. But we now know, even though science is still developing, that this is something that is actually extremely helpful, and it can be helpful in so many different areas. But what's interesting about that is hypnosis is actually a very natural state. As we've talked about, your brain is already in that theta state at the beginning and the end of the day. That's why you always hear people tell you to be really cognizant of what you're listening to, what you're consuming, what you're focusing on during those time periods, because it's going directly into your unconscious mind. So what happens is your body is becoming more relaxed, and when your body becomes more relaxed, your prefrontal cortex relaxes, and that means that your rational brain isn't so active. So now your unconscious mind can actually be programmed because it's more susceptible, because that filter of the rational mind isn't there. So while a hypnotic state is something that you can put yourself into through self-hypnosis or by following a guided hypnosis or seeing a hypnotherapist, it's also something that we go into many times during the day. Anytime that you are watching television, you're in a hypnotic state. Have you ever been driving and you got from point A to point B, but you can't actually remember getting from A to B? That is because you are in a hypnotic state. Anytime you've lost track of time because you're hyper focused and concentrated, whether it's working on a project that you love, whether it's reading a good book, maybe you're listening to a great album, whatever it is, anytime you've gotten really lost and lost track of time because you are so immersed in something, it's often called a flow state. This is a very natural state that we get into as human beings, and this is a state that is completely normal. But people have these negative connotations with hypnosis when ultimately they go into hypnosis probably at least once every single day themselves. They just probably aren't aware that they're doing it. So I want to mention this in case you are somebody that might be a little skeptical about hypnosis, or maybe you're out there talking to your friends and your family about this program that you're in and how you've experienced such massive shifts in such a short period of time, and you mentioned that one of the things is hypnosis. This will give you some context to maybe have a conversation with them, so that way they can understand that it isn't negative at all. And the other thing that I want to say is that no one can make you do something that you don't want to do in a hypnotic state. At the end of the day, even if you're working with a hypnotherapist, even if you're listening to a hypnosis, even if you're doing a guided hypnosis in any way, shape, or form, the person's voice that you're listening to and the person that's guiding you, it will never be able to bypass what your subconscious mind will and will not do. Whatever you're doing, it's typically just giving you positive suggestions anyway in hypnosis, but any suggestions or any verbal cues or commands that you get, ultimately your subconscious mind has to agree with them in order for it to do anything. Typically, you would be agreeing with it because you decided to do the hypnosis because there was an area that you wanted to transform in, whether it was health, whether it was money, whether it was happiness, whatever it was, because hypnosis can also be used to help with phobias. It can be used to manage pain. It can be used to lower stress. It can be used to process emotions. There's so many different ways that hypnosis can be used. But whatever the subject matter is of the hypnosis, you are already listening to it, which means that you're agreeing for your subconscious mind to be programmed. But at the end of the day, if somebody said something in the hypnosis, wouldn't take whatever that is, whatever that suggestion was, you wouldn't take it on as a program because your subconscious mind doesn't agree with it. So that's another thing that I want to mention. You don't have to be scared of hypnosis, and neither does anyone in your life. So the way that hypnosis works is there are 4 stages to the hypnosis. So either during a session that you're doing or whether you're listening to hypnosis, these are the 4 stages that you will walk through or be walked through while you are doing that. So that way we are able to really make sure that your prefrontal cortex relaxes, your body relaxes, and then we're able to communicate to your unconscious mind, because typically we're providing a deep visual experience where you become so associated with the vision that you're seeing in your mind that your external current reality starts to melt away. And this allows you to dissociate from your current reality with those current beliefs, programs, behaviors, actions, identity, and you're able to start focusing on a different inner world while listening to suggestions that are going to help you when you come out to change this current reality. And as you know by now, your beliefs are creating your reality, and your beliefs are creating the behaviors that you have. So if you can change your beliefs and change your behaviors on an unconscious level, that's when your entire reality can change, and it can happen so much faster because you're going right into your unconscious mind, which is ultimately creating your entire life experience. You're changing the programs that are installed in there. So you're no longer creating this self-fulfilling prophecy where you're not victorious in your life, where you're playing in the victim role, and you start changing that program so that way you have empowering, healthy, wealthy, happy beliefs installed as programs that create beliefs, that create behaviors, and then your life experience matches these. So when you ultimately learn how to use hypnosis and you start implementing it either through self-hypnosis or by listening to hypnosis regularly, you're actually allowing your mind to be programmed on an unconscious level. That's why hypnosis is so powerful and so effective, because if you go in and you change the programs that were already installed that are creating your reality, you no longer consciously have to work as hard to try and manifest things, because now your unconscious mind is manifesting what you desire to experience, and your behaviors are lining up with that, and your beliefs are lining up with that. So now it's like you've just become this new person. Your reality might look the same, but you have a new perspective on it, and you just have a new way of being. And it's because you're running a different program in your unconscious mind, and that program is creating your entire experience. So that's why hypnosis is one of my favorite tools and techniques. And it's honestly one of the easiest ones, because all you have to do is press play and listen, and then you're guided through this immersive experience that's helping you reprogram yourself. And your body is always following the instructions of your mind. So when you are experiencing anything in your mind, your body feels like it's experiencing it right now, and it's responding to this. This is why our thoughts can dysregulate our nervous system. But I want to give you a tool that a lot of the times hypnotherapists or hypnotists will use in their practice to really show somebody how powerful the mind is. And so I want to walk you through this so that way you can experience this. And what's so awesome about this is it works so quickly. You don't have to take a really long time doing this. It's just something really quick, and you're like, oh wow, like my body is totally reacting to what my mind is doing. Okay, so I want you to close your eyes with me right now. And I want you to imagine yourself standing in your kitchen. And you walk over to the counter in your kitchen, and you look down, and you notice that there is a small plate, small white plate, with a piece of a fresh cut slice of lemon on that plate. You look down, and you're just looking at this fresh slice of lemon, and you see yourself pick up that lemon. You look at it, and you put it in your mouth, and you take a big bite out of that lemon. Feel that lemon, like taste that lemon in your mouth. Okay, amazing. Now I want you to open up your eyes. Tell me how much more saliva is in your mouth right now than when I asked you to do that. And that is what's called the lemon test. I didn't want to tell you the name beforehand because it kind of gives it away. But because your body is following your mind, you're having a visceral reaction to you seeing yourself biting a lemon and experiencing it because lemons are very, very sour. And because of how sour they are, your saliva glands get overactive. They start producing more saliva. And this is something that your body does through an unconscious lens. But do you see how powerful it is when you're visualizing something in your mind, and then it doesn't matter that you haven't really experienced it out here in reality, because in your mind you did experience it. So on a mental level and in a physical level, which your emotions, your energy, everything is tied, you did experience it because your mind and your body are connected. That's why I always call it a feedback loop, because they're just constantly giving information to each other. And this is also why I tell you that you can experience anything, because you can always experience it in your mind. You can always see yourself playing out something in your mind. You can always feel it in your body. You just need to stop tying yourself and associating yourself with this current 3D reality, because at the end of the day, we live in a quantum universe. Your brain is programmed like a hologram. That is backed in neuroscience. So you have to understand that you can associate yourself right now with any reality you want to experience. So if you're not experiencing the reality that you want to experience, then start using techniques like hypnosis to associate with a new reality, create new programs, so that way your reality can change outside of you. Okay, that is it for today's lesson. Let me know, did you learn something new here? Are you really more excited to do hypnosis knowing now? Let me know, did that lemon test really get you? Did you really feel it? And that was the first time that you realized, oh wow, like there is such a deep connection between my mind and my body, and what I'm seeing in my mind and what I'm experiencing in my body. So let me know how this one went for you, and I will see you tomorrow for day 29 and then our last day on day 30.